Welcome to the First Read Ultimate Spider-Man podcast, where we break down Bendis' iconic run on Ultimate Spider-Man, issues 1 through 160, in Earth 1610. I'm Zach, and with me today is the man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot, Johnny O.
Oh my gosh, the Sam Elliott B movie.
Yes, you know it.
Incredible intro. Yeah, it's kind of boring.
It was pretty bad, right? But the title rocks.
Yep, and Sam Elliott's a good guy. He's the guy, and he's the Big Lebowski guy, isn't he? Am I thinking of the right person when we say Sam Elliott?
He might be. I think of him as like he's always an old cowboy.
Yeah, he's in the Big Lebowski. He's like the narrator of it or something.
Oh yeah, okay, that sounds right. He does have he's got a great voice.
Dude, he does. And he's in The Office. He's Ron Dunn.
That's Parks and Rec.
Okay, take back. Let's restart this pod again for
restart the episode again.
Let's take
third time's a charm.
Yep.
Listeners, we're having a great day, and we have a lot of high energy, and that's just how we were when we turned the pod on.
We were cooking pretty good, and then Zach, like a real life superhero, had to go and pick up his wife. She was in trouble somewhere.
Yeah, you know, we don't all wear capes.
Yep. What you got going on? Let me guess. You're going to a music festival this weekend.
A concert.
Oh, okay.
But a pretty stacked concert. And
nice.
Hold on. I'll give you 5 pod bucks if you can guess what city it's in.
Milwaukee.
Oh my God, how'd you know that?
Well, here's the thing. I know you're seeing a day to remember, okay? But for 50 pod bucks, if I can somehow come up with one of the other bands that you're going to see, that you did just tell me like 10 minutes ago, but I'd never heard of any of them. Is one of them like Songs for Saturdays or something? Is there some like S alliteration in one of the names?
The Story So Far.
Oh, darn it.
And 4 Years Strong.
Ooh, that one I could have remembered because that feels like it has some political overtones to it. You know, I guess anytime I hear 4 years, especially in an election cycle.
I always took it as like they made it through high school or college or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably.
Truly, it probably has no meaning, and they just thought it sounded cool.
Well, that'll be really fun.
Yeah. What about you? You got like a tennis game coming on, or a buddy who ditched a tennis game or anything?
I was supposed to have a big tennis match on Saturday, but that guy, his wife's having a second baby, so I guess he can't play tennis with me on Saturday anymore.
He was so scared to play you. He did something about it 9 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, this would have actually been our third time playing, and the first time he beat me pretty good, but it was competitive, and the second time he beat me pretty good, but it was more competitive, and man, we were both really excited to play, but whatever, I guess he just has to have a kid, you know, it's fine. We're both really excited for that also.
Did you ever play the Mario tennis game on Game Boy when you were a kid?
Yes, absolutely.
That kind of rocked. Like, I wasn't even a tennis fan, and that was just one of the more fun, like, first-gen Game Boy games.
Yeah. Mario Tennis was great. All those Mario Golf, Mario Party, Mario Kart.
Yeah. On Game Boy, though, I think the tennis really worked. I don't know about
Mario Tennis on Game Boy? I never played that. I thought you were talking about N64. N64.
Oh. No, dude, I had it on a little screen.
I never had a Game Boy. My parents thought video games would rot my brain.
My parents, I was 7 when my parents had my baby sister, and they were like, oh, is he too old? Is he going to feel like he's getting left out? We got to make sure he feels like he's getting attention. And they decided that I was going to get a Big Brother present. And they were like, what do you want? And I was like, a Game Boy Advance. And they were like, cool, you get a Game Boy Advance when the baby arrives. And
and I bet you never ever felt like
not for
attention because you'd just be playing Game Boy anyway.
Not for a second did I think, oh, my parents are going to love me less. I just thought like, oh, okay, cool. I'm getting someone to play with. Whatever.
Well, what I meant was, I bet every time your parents were like taking care of your younger sister or doing, not spending as much time with you, you were just on the Game Boy anyways. So I'm sure you didn't even care.
I did play the heck out of that thing.
Perfect game. I remember, not to take too long here before we get into it, but I remember, since I didn't have a Game Boy, I had this friend in my neighborhood named Nate, and Nate had a Game Boy, and I loved hanging out with Nate because I'd get to play Game Boy, and we would just take turns playing the Pokemon game, and it was so fun.
Those were the best games.
They were.
Like, to this day, I would put those among the best games ever.
Yeah.
Fun fact, that Game Boy actually still works, and my sister has it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We got anything else, dude?
I mean, there is like a new presidential candidate. I know it's not a political podcast. We didn't talk about Trump last week. We don't have to talk about any of it this week. I just didn't know if you had Trump? Any. No, we kind of avoided that whole thing. We got into it, and then I thought you cut it all out.
I think some of it might have made it in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Are you? I don't care. Are you riding with Kamala, Zach?
What are people saying? They're Kamala is brat. I don't know, dude. They've got like all these crazy memes that the kids are coming up with.
Oh my gosh, dude. Is Kamala Harris Skibbity Toilet?
On God, dude. I think she's 21, hit the gritty with the Riz.
I need to know what Livy Dune and the Riz King, Baby Gronk, say about this. All right, let's do it. Spider-Man stuff.
All right. But first, a word from the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Every business says they're better, but the ones that earn and display the BBB seal back it up. It instantly identifies businesses that are committed to operating with integrity, honoring promises, and telling the truth. Makes you wonder why every business doesn't have it. So look for it, because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
All right, issue 123 and 124. We're doing Venom.
Again?
Again?
Deja vu.
Was Venom last week?
No, Venom was like a year ago.
Oh, okay. So where'd we leave off with that? Give us a refresher.
Okay, so Peter Parker, his dad, right? Richard Parker, we've heard of that guy. He worked with Eddie Brock's dad on something that they thought was going to cure cancer, ended up just not developing, ended up being just a vat of goo.
And they did a home movie where we got him because Aunt May's hair was different, right?
That's right.
Or maybe Uncle Ben's hair was different.
It's that picnic scene in the park that we revisited like 15 times.
We definitely did get him.
I do remember that. And then, so Eddie Brock was in college. He was at Empire State University, and he was going to pick up their parents' work. Whoop, whoop. Represent
Big Apples.
Fictional school. He was going to pick up their parents' work and develop this cure for cancer. And he showed Peter, because they reconnected. Peter touched it, became the black suit Spider-Man for like a second, realized it was influencing him.
He also gave Peter some good red pill Andrew Tate advice on women, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, he was a proto alpha male.
Yeah.
He was talking about, they'll whatever, break your heart and you gotta treat them like trash.
They'll all use you for something, or I don't know.
Yeah. And
you gotta get out of the
Peter
Matrix, Peter.
He got rid of the black suit. He was going to destroy all the samples. Eddie got mad at him. He kept a sample, became Venom.
Yes.
Ate some people. And then Peter had to fight him, and some cops shot him. There was like a flash, and
That
he
doesn't
was like,
sound right.
"Yeah, Venom died from random cops
The cops
shooting him.
shot people.
They would never."
Okay, so Venom supposedly died.
Supposedly with a D, but yes.
God bless it, Zach. Okay.
I got Mr. Language Arts.
You got me. And you know what? Right when I said it, I knew I misspoke, so you got me.
Hey, it happens to us all. Happens once a week, right, listeners?
Yeah,
Haven't
it
said it in
happens
a
once
while.
an episode. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that bring us up to date?
I think it does. And so now where are we? We are on a blonde man sitting on a park bench on a beautiful day. And an old white woman walks up and sits down next to him. And he looks at her and he says, "Hi, my name is Eddie Brock." And she says, "Hello." And he says, "I'm hungry."
I think we all knew where this one was going.
Yeah, John, if I had spider senses, that's when they would start tingling.
Yeah.
And he starts explaining his life to her. And he says, "I used to be a college student. A couple months ago, I was living in a dorm doing homework. Now I live nowhere."
Did you see after he says doing homework, he says, "I was just a college student going to parties. We know you weren't, Eddie."
Getting thrown out of parties I snuck into.
Yeah.
And he explains that when he was a kid, his dad made a thing that's a parasite, but now it's attached to him. And
Terrible soul patch.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So when we were introduced to Eddie Brock, it was the early 2000s, and arguably nu metal wasn't dead yet. So him having a soul patch didn't look super weird. But now it's like 2007 and it does. And I was kind of surprised by how openly he was talking about all this stuff. He tells her about fighting Spider-Man, and he says he knows who he is and he isn't afraid to tell her.
Well, that's why you obviously know this person is either like this person who sat down on the bench next to him is either in his mind somehow, which she looks just like creepy enough in her own right as an old woman that she could be like some creature also. But she's either some sort of him or he's just gonna kill her, which is why he doesn't mind telling everybody what's going on.
Exactly. We know what's happening this whole issue, but it's still, they're playing with the tension there. And so he says he knows who Spider-Man is, and he whispers, "Peter Parker." That's his name. He still goes to high school, you know? And we see a flashback in his memories of the last time we saw Venom. And the cops are shooting him in the rain, and there's a flash of light. And Eddie says, "Maybe I died. Maybe I'm dead right now. I remember the flash of light, but then I woke up elsewhere." And we get like a point of view shot looking from behind bushes in a park at a woman jogging. And it's Eddie's perspective, and he says, "Hungry." And black tentacles reach out and grab the woman.
So Venom is like historically an anti-hero, right? Or is he historically a villain? Or, I mean, this is obviously very villainous.
I think historically he's a villain, but in recent years he's kind of been reclaimed as an anti-hero.
Just because people think he's like cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way things go in comics, is every cool villain will eventually get like a heroic arc because people want it. And then also every like superhero will at some point have like a fall from grace. It's just the way these comics go because the story never ends.
Okay.
So we cut back to Eddie on the bench, but now it's a middle-aged black woman he's sitting next to and talking to. It's a different woman entirely, but he's continued the same conversation. So we know he's having this conversation multiple times.
That'd be kind of boring. To just keep having to
seem to
repeat
mind.
yourself.
I think
Do you
he's
think he
working it
just
out.
do you think he just picks up where he left off with the previous person? Or is he telling the whole story again and he just gets further with each person?
I think we kind of get a hint to which one it is at the end.
Oh, okay.
But that's a good question. Let's keep that in mind. And so he says, maybe I'm dead, but I don't think so. It feels almost like a dream. And we see a montage of Venom showing up to a biker bar and eating people. And John, I'm going to give you just a little bit of a Easter egg here. I don't think this bar is supposed to be CBGB, but it...
What?
Do you know what CBGB's is?
No.
Oh, it was like the most famous punk venue in history. It was in the Village in New York, Greenwich Village, and it doesn't exist anymore, but it had this very famous like awning with the letters CBGB on it, and this is that awning and this is that font, but the letters are different. And it would have just closed down permanently not long before this issue came out. So it seems like this might be like kind of a playful like reference to it.
Yeah.
It's like a really famous spot. It's where like the Ramones and the Talking Heads and Patti Smith and Blondie all got their start.
Well, I'll tell you what, it does look like that awning for sure.
Yeah.
I would say you're right on the money, Zach.
Yeah, I think that's an intentional Easter egg.
Yeah.
And Eddie says it feels like he has two independent brains inside him. And one brain is just hungry, and the other brain just wants to be put out of its misery. And he says eventually, though, he suddenly felt all right. And we see in his flashback, he catches up to Spider-Man fighting the Rhino. And Eddie says, there he was. And all of a sudden, I felt great. And he explains that the suit recognized Peter, probably because he was the first person to ever wear it. And Eddie doesn't know if it wants to kill Peter or kiss him. And I thought that was kind of weird. I don't think it would want to kiss him. I think it would want to re-merge with him, but...
Yeah.
You realize that's the second time a crazy villain in this series has like talked about either killing Peter or kissing him.
Who was the first?
Norman Osborn in the Circles episode.
He talks about kissing Peter?
Yeah.
Oh.
Pretty sure he says that. He's like, kill him, kiss him, hate him, love him, something like that.
Interesting.
And Silver Sable and her people are like surveilling this fight that Spider-Man's a part of. But Spider-Man swings away and they notice Eddie walking around their surveillance cameras. And they surround him with guns and say, Mr. Brock, can we have a word? And he says, hungry, and turns into Venom. And the mercenary who was talking to him says, well, technically that was a word. Do you notice which mercenary this is?
Nope. I don't know.
I did like this. It's the same guy who was standing on top of the 7-Eleven directly across the street from the school that we made fun of because he was just standing on a 7-Eleven. He wasn't like hiding or anything.
From a while ago?
Yes, from when we were talking about Silver Sable.
How'd you recognize that?
I just did. I don't know. I just remembered that like she has like a right-hand man and he's Asian.
Yeah, she's got some goons.
Yeah. And so they surround him and they start blasting and he throws... I was trying to see if I meant to type this or type something else. He throws at them. And I don't know what it was that he threw.
It looks like a big car or a dumpster. No, it's a dumpster.
All right. He throws a dumpster at him. He says, you garbage. Get out of here. And Sable is coaching them from inside their mobile command unit. She's like on the walkie-talkies telling her people not to get too close to him. And, of course, what do? But some of them get too close to him and get grabbed by his tentacles. And Eddie's about to eat them, and then Sable blasts him in the back and says, Eddie, behave. Or don't. I get paid either way.
This is like very on brand for everything we know about her from earlier. Because that's like in her last run, that's like all she cared about was getting paid, right? By Roxxon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's all about the money.
Yeah.
And
Even when she did like the worst job ever.
yes. She like butchered the job that she was getting paid for and then said she would do it for free and then got a second chance because she said she would do it for free and then failed and then said, "Where's my money?"
Yeah.
And so she shot him in the back to protect her people and he charges her and she keeps blasting him, but it's not doing any good. And he eventually reaches her and just slams her right into a taxi and like dents it in and then jumps off into the night. And somehow she just stands up and is okay from that.
Yeah, she must have like some superhero strength or something.
I just think in the Marvel universe, more people are like low-key strong and more people are like geniuses.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way a lot of things make sense. You know, there's too many geniuses per capita, and there's too many people surviving per capita.
Yeah. Well, we're following all the superheroes, so.
But I'm saying even the normal people, like the baseline people, or people who were geniuses and then become superheroes, like Peter Parker.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
And so we cut back to Eddie on the park bench, and this time he's talking to two young ladies. And John, this whole issue, I was trying to kind of put myself in his head, and I was thinking about how he's choosing these victims, if he's choosing them intentionally at all. And
well, he's not going up and grabbing them, they're just sitting down next to him.
I know, but they're being shown in a specific order that is kind of interesting, which is like, I think in Eddie Brock's mind, he's maybe gathering his strength and he's picking off the weak first. So he started with a really old woman, eats her and maybe gets a little stronger, then goes to a middle-aged woman, eats her, gets a little stronger. Now he's targeting these two younger women.
I'm glad that I would never be in this situation. Because I would never go and just sit by a random person on a park bench.
I did wonder that too.
That's like as crazy of behavior as turning into a Venom monster.
I feel like people don't be sitting on benches in general, you know?
No.
And in New York, like if this is Central Park, they have like probably miles of park benches to choose from.
Yeah.
So he tells these two young women that he was never even in a fight before all this. And we see him sitting, after that, we see him sitting next to an older man. So now, I think in his mind, because we know he's a misogynist, I think he thinks men are stronger than women. He's done feasting on women, maybe, or at least doesn't have to only go after them. He's about to try and eat his first man, but it's an old guy.
Huh.
And
okay.
He said,
there's something to your theory here. I think it might all just be luck, but there's something to what you're saying. You know, because he is progressing.
John, I was an English major for a hot second, and I'm just trying to think like a writer. You know, professional writers should, if they put something on the page, it should serve a purpose or have some kind of theme behind it. You know, they're giving you things to read into. And so I know if I were telling a story like this where a crazy person is killing multiple victims one by one, it would be a good touch to make the choosing of those victims say something about him.
That's true. Writers, take a note from Zach.
Yeah, there's a free tip from someone who didn't end up getting that.
Somebody who
English
was an English major.
Briefly an English major. So he tells this old man that the moment the suit saw Spider-Man was the best he ever felt. And he says he doesn't know how much time passed, but eventually he felt that again and knew Spider-Man was near. So he's kind of got his own spider sense, but it specifically tells him where Peter Parker is. And we see the story of that day, and it's Peter and Mary Jane in a school bus that's dropping kids off at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And Peter tells MJ his spider senses are killing him, and it feels different than it ever has before. And we see Eddie walk into the Met, but security guards at the front think he's homeless and try to shoo him out without causing a scene. And Eddie yells, "Don't touch me," and turns into Venom and attacks them. And I didn't care for the pacing of these next few pages. It was a little clunky, but Peter kind of sees the commotion and runs to the bathroom to change into his suit, and then starts fighting Eddie. And during the fight, Peter webs a doorway completely shut to try and protect Mary Jane, who's on the other side. And he yells to Eddie that he'll try and help him, but he has to stop trashing the museum. And Eddie throws Peter through the front door and down the stairs.
Eddie is also yelling Parker as all of this is happening, and Peter's school is there on a field trip. So, I mean, this should come back. Somebody should notice this, I think.
Where's Jessica Jones when you need her?
Yeah.
She would put this together. Okay, so now they're outside on the steps of the Met, which, for any Gossip Girl fans, that's like a big Gossip Girl spot.
This isn't the Met. This is the ESU Art Museum.
Okay, well, this is the Met. It's drawn like the Met. It's the entryway to the Met.
Well, sorry. It's ESU.
I reject that. ESU isn't a real place. I know it's the Met because I even saw,
I'm just telling you what it says. It says it's the ESU Art Museum.
It's literally the same front of the Met. You know I'm an architecture guy.
Okay.
And then it's not...
Okay.
Well, listen. It literally shows these, pools, these square pools outside of the Met that the last time I was there, I stopped and read, and it was like, oh, donated by the Koch brothers. And I'm like, oh, these guys. Okay, so he's about to bite down on Peter's head when Silver Sable and her people show up and start blasting Eddie. And we cut back to Eddie on the bench talking to a young black man who recognized Eddie as the monster on TV. See, he got younger this time.
Yep. I know. Your theory makes sense.
Yeah. And so the guy's like, wait a minute, you're that monster. I saw you. You were on TV. You were... And then Eddie just eats him. But he looks sad for a second before he does. And we see Venom is just this big, bubbling, gross monster thing. It looks more like a liquid than like a big, strong guy like Venom usually is. And as soon as he's swallowed the guy, he just changes right back into normal Eddie Brock in street clothes. And he's sitting on the bench all alone, and he says to himself, yeah, where was I? So, John, I think you were right. I think he is just having this conversation to himself, and whenever anyone happens to sit next to him, they think he's talking to them, and then he eats them.
Okay. I'm going to hold out hope that all of these victims are alive inside of Venom, because when they get eaten, it's almost like, it's not gory. It's like they're inside, like they're in Eddie Brock's spot, They're
in there with him.
So maybe when Peter saves the day, all of these people will survive. If not, Eddie Brock ran up quite the body count in this issue.
Yeah. He's truly terrifying.
Well, I don't know how many people Doc Ock or anyone killed, but this is a whole issue of just Eddie Brock just killing random people. So, gosh, it's not great. It's going to be hard to come back for him.
And what's really dastardly to think about is
what? That soul patch.
whenever we cut away from him on the bench and he was talking about like his adventures and we're seeing flashbacks, during those moments where he's just narrating, how many new people is he talking to that we're not seeing?
Oh, okay. I was thinking, how many people was he eating during all of those adventures too? Because we saw the woman jogging. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that too. But like, even just sitting on this bench, I can't remember how many people we were shown. Let's say it's 7. I bet you his body count is higher than 7, and I bet those happened during this narration. I bet there were people.
How's nobody seeing this?
That's what I wonder.
Where's Spider-Man when you need him?
At school, at the museum, apparently.
Yep.
All right, so I gave this a 9.5 out of 10 nameless victims.
Oh my gosh, 9.5? Why?
Like I said, the visual storytelling for a couple pages got kind of clunky, but I just had so much fun, like, with the tension that it was playing with, where he's talking to these people, and you, like, want to reach through the page and tell them to get the hell out of there. And you know they're goners, and then, like, it was just such a smart idea and good execution to have the person change every time, and you know what's happening, but then you don't see it until the very end. It felt like a well-directed horror movie, kind of. But it was, at the same time, it wasn't so gory or scary or bad that it feels like edgelordy or out of place in this comic for general audiences.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say 7.5 nameless victims. I don't know. It just felt really standard to me. Which is fine.
I know. Listen, John, I know objectively.
Okay, I'll go 8.
If I'm an academic, this is not a 9.5 out of 10 comic book.
No, it can be. Zach, our rating system is very
I'm saying
subjective.
I had fun.
So that's all that matters.
Yes, I'm saying subjectively I enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with that. I'll give it an 8.
All right. Do you have any other thoughts about it?
No. I don't think so.
This is what they tune in for, John.
Okay, issue 124. This one has... I'm going to go out on a limb here. Is this Blue Beetle, Zach? Is that even a Marvel hero?
No, Blue Beetle is DC. This is the Beetle.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's just the Beetle on the cover. Okay. And it's the same creative team as Zach's issue. And look at this. The issue begins right where the last one ended, with a big banner up top that says ESU Museum of Art several weeks ago.
I reject it.
And Venom and Spider-Man are having a tussle when Silver Sable enter team. Okay, dude, that's actually, I don't care about Silver Sable. I didn't last time she was in all of these issues, and I don't know why why can't we just have a Venom and Spider-Man arc? Why do we have to, like, what's the word? Like, there's too much. Why do we have to complicate all these things with Silver Sable and the Beetle, and Roxxon is about to come in also, and it's just like, dude, I just want to see like Venom and Spider-Man stuff. So
I mean, probably because we've already done that.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't seen Silver Sable before. So
I don't know what to tell you.
So her and the team come in and they start shooting Venom with that green ray gun, and that seems to put him out, like they did at the end of Zach's issue. And then we see more from a couple of months ago when Spider-Man and the Rhino were fighting. And Spider-Man, he's got a big headache right as we know Eddie is getting close by. So that's like multiple times now where he's gotten a big headache just whenever Eddie's close. And at school the next day, MJ tells Peter that he needs to go and see a doctor and do a superhero physical for all the stuff he's been through. And she tells him that his costume tore and someone got a picture of his butt that's all over TMZ. And he's pretty embarrassed about that. And Peter goes swinging around hoping that his headache is just a headache when just then a streak of yellow rushes past him in the air. So it flies past him really quickly. And Peter swings up to it, and it's that flying beetle thing. And he tries to just shoot the with it a little bit. He's like, hey, where'd you get your cool suit? I should warn you, the full mask makes people think you're into some mischievous nonsense. But the beetle just whizzes off. And Spider-Man easily catches up with him again. But this time the beetle fires similar green beams. I thought it looked like Silver Sable's guns. And they kind of track onto Peter until he's able to web them up. Is this the same that makes me think this is Silver Sable or one of her goons. So the beetle keeps trying to shake Peter. So instead of trying to like fight with it, we see Peter just watches from a distance, and the beetle like goes up to the Roxxon skyscraper, and Peter's watching it, and it phases through the building, and Peter's like, whoa, that was kind of cool. So it looks like it's kind of broken into like a tech room or like an armory of some kind. I don't know. It seems like there's some tech weapons in there. And he is about to kill a security guard when Spider-Man jumps through the window and just starts webbing stuff up. And he tells the villain he's going to come up with a new name for them. And he goes through a couple duds. And then here's why I thought it was Blue Beetle, Zach, is because we see the cops be like, Code Blue, Code Blue. And then right after they say that, Spider-Man's like, the Beetle, I've got it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cheeky. There is the Blue Beetle, you know. But that's a DC hero. Now I'm learning.
Well, you're probably right that it might have been like a reference. It might have been a nod to Blue Beetle. Because I guarantee you Bendis knows the DC heroes too.
Yeah. So Peter is about to lay a big punch on the beetle, but instead he hits some sort of force field, and he gets kind of like, you know, I don't know, knocked out or trapped for a little bit by this force field, and the beetle manages to fly away. And Peter's just like, what the heck just happened? And then the police come in and they draw their guns, and Peter swings away. So the next day at the Bugle, Peter's on the phone with MJ. He's like, I've been looking up Roxxon stuff, and it seems like everything I see, they're tied to Latveria. Before he gets another call, and he's like, okay, MJ, I'm getting another call. I got to call you back. And we can see it's just someone on the other end of the phone that says rooftop now. And we can tell from Peter's eyes that he's like, oh, this is serious. And he races up to the roof, and the door flies open. And we see Nicholas J. Fury standing there. And I was pretty happy he was back. I gotta get this. I felt like I was watching one of those Marvel movies, you know? One of my favorite characters came back.
They walk into the scene and we all clap like seals.
I did. I was sitting there clapping. So too bad this is in the past, right? Because Nick Fury doesn't come back in present day, you told me.
He kind of does, but I don't think he should yet. I don't think this makes sense for him to be there.
Well, this is definitely in the past, I think.
This is in the past? Okay, then
I don't know.
That
maybe
makes sense.
Both of these issues, I was like, when is this going on in the timeline?
Yeah, the timeline is a little
and Fury showing up didn't help that.
Yeah, it makes more sense if this happened before whenever Carol Danvers took over.
Yeah.
Before Ultimate Powers.
So Fury tells Peter that whatever happened last night is tied to Latveria, which that means Peter's research was correct. And he says that makes this an international incident, so he needs Peter to stay out of it. And Peter doesn't look very pleased about that. And he angrily goes back to his work at the Bugle. And the pilot behind Fury says, General, do you think he'll behave? And Fury says, nope. And the pilot responds, so you want him to stick his nose in this, and you told him not to because you knew he would? And Fury grins and says, yep. Oh, sneaky guy.
Yeah, he used some reverse psychology on
I
him.
like this. This is the Fury we need. Okay.
Yeah, not the one we've been seeing.
No, this Fury seems like he knows what's going on.
Yeah, he's playing 3D chess.
So,
John,
yep.
I do got to add real quick. I just went back in the issue, and I think you're right. So it said
This is the ESU Art Museum.
No. That's fake news. It says months ago, and then it says the next day, and then it says that night, and then it says the next day. And also, Mary Jane, when she's talking to him at school, she says something like, "Oh, I thought I should tell you as a friend." And even when I was reading this, I was like, that's a weird thing for her to say. They're dating. I don't think they were at that point. I think this happened when he was with Kitty.
Interesting. Okay, I read that also, and I was like, well, sometimes people, they could still be dating, but I thought that was kind of weird also. So that makes sense. And then this on the very next page, right, says ESU Museum of Art several weeks ago. So I'm actually not sure. I mean, we could figure it out with some thought here, but does that mean several weeks before a couple months ago, or several weeks ago from real time?
No,
which would be after a couple months ago. I think
several weeks ago. Yeah.
So several weeks ago at the art museum, Eddie is on the ground naked. Hey, a nude teenage transformation. We got one for
Which
a boy. That's
because
kind of rare.
That is rare. Also, he had his clothes on when he transformed on the park bench. So I don't know what this is about.
He did. Maybe this has to do with the Silver Sable shooting him. Like, I don't know. You're right. That is weird. So Silver Sable and her goons are surrounding him, and Peter's there also, and they try and, take Eddie. They load him up into the truck, and Peter's like down on the ground. And before Silver Sable loads up the truck and leaves, she says, "Thanks for the assist. You should really see a doctor," which, like, everyone's been telling Peter he needs to go see a doctor all issue. MJ's told him a couple times. He's been wondering it to himself. So, I don't know. That's kind of weird. And then the issue ends.
What do we think?
I didn't like it. It's just boring.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I being a downer?
No, it was hard to follow. I mean, clearly I read it and prepared for, this episode and have read it before, and you heard me in real time figuring out what was happening.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. What happened with the Beatles stuff and Roxxon? I mean, obviously we're going to get answers to everything. So maybe when we do start to get these answers, everything will kind of come into place more and be a little bit better. But it definitely wasn't as good as yours, I don't think. So,
and maybe that played a role in my rating where it made mine look better to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but it just seemed like not that much happened in it. We're still just like dealing with these like two past time things, and we've been doing that for like two issues now. We like have just bounced back between his fight with the Rhino and then his fight outside of the museum.
Yeah.
But it's fine, What's our rating? I had one. It was out of paparazzi pictures of Peter Parker's tuchus.
Ooh. John, I'm going to give it damn, man, I can't lie. I'm going to give it like a 5 out of 10 paparazzi pictures of Spider-Man's tuchus.
Okay. I think that's fair. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 pictures of paparazzi pictures of Spider-Man's tuchus as well.
You know what though? I'm still holding out faith for this arc to pick back up. I liked how it started.
Well, there's some interesting plot threads. You know, who is the Beetle? What does Silver Sable have to do with all of this? Nick Fury's back, which I do like.
Well,
and
in
he's
a-
scheming,
In a flashback.
Oh, so he's not even going to be in this.
But
The rest of
his
the way.
plans theoretically should still be in motion, right?
Yeah. So, and Spider-Man, we might see him going to the doctor, which could be fun.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's the next double-sized special issue. Spider-Man gets his annual checkup.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He bends
That
over
should
and
be-
coughs and
that
web
should
comes
be-
out.
That should be a Spider-Man annual. That's what they should have made the double issue. Gosh, dude, you just reminded me of like one of my least favorite scenes of The Boys, where Web Weaver's just like farting out webs for like 2 minutes.
Oh my god, and then gets
I'm
murdered.
like, what even show are we like watching here? Why is this happening?
I like The Boys, but that is why I don't think I like The Boys as much as you. I was over that kind of humor and
Dude, it's-
edgelordiness like so long ago.
100%. All of that. Well, I don't care if he gets torn in half. I was expecting it to happen from the second Homelander walks into the place with them, right? We're just waiting
But
for
yeah,
him
only
to,
because it's The
to
Boys.
die. Well, no, it's because it's Homelander, you know, and it's because they, but the all of that Web Weaver stuff, the reason that annoys me is because there's so many good things that I don't know, dude, we just don't, it just comes back to like, do we need the whole episode of Huey in Tech Knight's cave getting sex stuff done to him? Do we really need like a 4-minute scene of putting drugs in Web Weaver's asshole? Do we need a 2-minute scene of him farting webs before Homelander just rips him in half? You know, like you said, that's not really like, dude, that's like the most immature humor I could, like every time he just kept like shitting out webs, I'm like, oh my god, this is just like going on way too long. Is this like a Family Guy skit?
Yeah, it's not exactly high art.
So that's why that was my only problem with it. I'd just rather see other things in that show, you know.
But do you get what I'm saying? Like, so The Boys has conditioned you when Homelander's going to kill someone, you know he's going to like rip them in half and it's going to be the most gory thing you've ever seen. If it wasn't The Boys, Homelander could still be Homelander and just walk into a room and laser eye someone and you not see it and their body just hits the ground and you know what happens still. You know what I mean? It's the way they structure the scenes and shoot them is meant to lean into the grossness.
Generally, I really like that tension building, you know, just like we had with like Venom talking to people on the park bench. I mean, I guess to your credit, they don't show him killing them. We just know that he's doing that, which is kind of what you said for Homelander. But I like all of those like scenes where you can almost like just count the seconds, like of, you know, every second like seems like it's like taking an eternity because you don't know what like Homelander's going to do next or like what Butcher's going to do next. Like at the very, very end when Butcher walks into Newman and you're like, oh my God, like what's about to happen? And you know, but then in some stuff, like, yeah, that just was way too long. It was absurd. Web Weaver's whole character was just the stupidest character ever. Every second he was on screen, I was like, dude, this guy's a dumbass. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was raised watching like a lot of really old movies, and like I saw a bunch of Hitchcock movies before I was even like 10. And so it's kind of drilled into my mind his notion of like it's scarier and more effective if you're doing like a violent scene or like a murder or something if you don't show it, because the human brain will imagine it so much worse than like whatever you were going to show. and that's how you build tension. And so I think that's why I liked that Venom issue so much, because it just like activated that sensibility in my brain that's just always been there.
Well, it is like the episode of The Boys this season where Homelander goes back to his like childhood thing and he like tortures everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That very last scene where he's talking to the woman and, you know, he doesn't end up killing her, and then it just cuts and the room is just like smeared in the blood of everybody else and all those people. I mean, that is pretty, to your credit, that's much more effective than just seeing him like force everybody into that room and then just like lasering them and ripping them apart, because we have seen that a million times, you know.
Exactly. And even before then, you know, the episode could have been he goes down there and immediately rampages.
You didn't like watching that dude try to before he got lasered?
That was like my least favorite part of that. I liked when he first went down there with Cake and was like acting friendly, but they all knew what was up. That's tension.
I think he didn't go down there planning on killing all of them. We're like on The Boys now. We're like done with these Spider-Man issues. We're totally on The Boys, but I don't think that was the plan going down there. I think it could have been, you know, he was open to it. He was open to killing everyone. But I do think if all those people had like said the right thing, then he wouldn't have killed them, you know.
I don't think so, but it's also hard to tell because Homelander operates with like a lizard brain, right? He doesn't think in terms of consequences or other people or good or bad or long-term anything. He couldn't stick to Sage's plan, even though he said he wanted to and he would listen to her, you know. He's just a creature of impulse.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I think maybe he didn't go down there to kill them all. But then
why go there at all?
But then I don't know. But I don't think when the elevator doors open and he has the Cake and he's talking to him, you know, I don't think that's like Homelander being like friendly for the sake of like being mean, you know. He seems like he's actually like being kind of friendly. And then somebody says the wrong thing. They're like, one person says one thing where he's like, come on, we were just doing our job. And right, then his lizard brain is like, that was the wrong thing to say. I'm no longer like okay with any of this anymore. Now I'm in torture mode.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You could I mean, who the hell knows, right? It's all open for interpretation.
Yeah. As art should be.
Yep. Okay, how many more issues in this Venom series? I want to see Spider-Man and Venom, like present day, talking to each other.
So there's 4 more issues, which means we get 2 more episodes of it.
Okay, good.
And then, John, I will say, the Ultimate Spider-Man video game is Spider-Man and Venom. So I think if we could get that out,
I know. It's
after,
like on our to-do list.
Yeah, I think that would be like kismet timing.
Well, if we have 2 more weeks of these, and then we want to do that, I bet at that point I can make that work and set it up and everything.
Okay. And I want to give you time too to like edit it, because I think we talked about like maybe you have history with like video editing.
Yeah, I can do that.
But I would want to give you like
I have to finish these Marion classes before we start a project like that, which is why maybe this game will be just something years from now when we have a Patreon. When we have a Patreon, people can pay us to put this episode out.
Well, I was going to say, I'd like to give you like at least a week to edit it or whatever. Like, I don't want to be like, all right, man, we're going to get together. And then the next day it's going up and that'll be great.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of pressure.
That might just I don't know. That might have to be like a bonus episode.
Okay.
So we're not like planning on it for a week, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Zach. I know I'm letting you down here.
No.
We'll get it. We'll get it working, listeners.
Yeah.
You will get the Xbox Ultimate Spider-Man playthrough. And hopefully it even works, because it might not work on Xbox 360 anymore. I might have to borrow my buddy's original Xbox. Because I told you that one game that I know used to be backwards compatible, it no longer is because of some update that was sent to the 360s. So, we'll see.
You would think as technology develops, it would get easier to make things backwards compatible and not harder, right? Like, as long as it's still a CD disc to some degree, like...
You're misunderstanding capitalism.
That's true.
The point isn't to make things easier or to work better. It's to make money.
Right. Create a problem so you can sell the solution.
Exactly. Dude, all this Tesla Cybertruck stuff, man, I'm just loving it. I'm just loving every second of it. I love seeing them drive down the road.
They're so funny. I've still only seen one.
When I think of what peak capitalism looks like, I think of the Tesla Cybertruck.
Did you see Kanye made a car that's like basically his version of a Cybertruck, but there was only like 1 or 2 or 3 made anywhere, and it's like the silliest thing ever. It's like shaped like this remote.
I'm looking at it. Oh my gosh. It looks like a DVD-ROM.
I don't know how a human being even fits in there without laying down.
Dude, I bet you Elon Musk is the most jealous person on the planet that he did not come up with this design. Wow. Incredible stuff, dude. We truly are living in a society.
I don't even know if it's street legal. He might have built that.
This doesn't work.
Just for go-kart tracks or something.
Yeah, dude, that is hilarious looking. That, at least to its credit, that at least has a futuristic look to it. You know?
Yeah.
So if I can say one thing about it, I'll say that.
This reminds me of a conversation we were having the other day. We were talking about like celebrities' products. And do you remember the Soulja Boy gaming console?
No, I don't.
It was like Soulja Boy tweeted, "This is a dream come true. Everyone buy my gaming console. I've always wanted my own branded gaming console. This is going to be awesome." And then he immediately got sued to because it was like basically a knockoff PlayStation.
Wasn't there like, am I making something up, or was there like a KFC gaming console or something? Or like a Pizza Hut gaming console or something? Wasn't there like a fast food gaming console?
That's hilarious though.
Yes, dude, it was the KFC console. Oh my gosh.
Was it like its own handheld thing, or was it like a actual plug-in to the TV?
The world's first built-in chicken chamber. So I think it's like an air fryer that you can like make chicken in. But it also has like a GPU and I mean, I wonder if anybody has ever purchased this.
How much is it?
It reminds me of the Community episode where they're in the KFC space simulator. Did you ever watch Community?
No, I've been told I need to.
Oh my gosh, Zach. It's so funny.
I think I've been told I need to by you.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. The very first comment on this KFC thing said, "Here I was thinking about Soulja Boy's console." I can't imagine this is real. This had to be a bit, because like I'm pretty sure you can't make chicken in a gaming console.
I don't know, man. My Xbox 360 used to overheat pretty often.
That's true. Yeah.
And then, so when we were talking about this, we got onto the subject of Gwyneth Paltrow's like health and beauty and wellness line, Goop.
Mm-hmm.
You know about that?
Oh yeah.
I figured the G is for Gwyneth and the P is for Paltrow, and we were trying to figure out what the O's stand for. And then Shyla started looking up her catalog of sex items. They have like
sex items.
Yeah, she sells like sex toys and gels and stuff. She has like a $4,000 solid gold.
Oh, okay. Right. Hey, that could be nice. $4,000.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I know that's like famous for having a candle that smells like.
Yeah.
Stuff, but,
yeah. What would your thing be, John? If tomorrow John Opad is an overnight sensation and you can launch a brand that no one asked for, what would we get? Headbands?
Oh, that's interesting.
Golf markers?
For our listeners, I am a headband boy now. Golf? No, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. It would probably be cut that. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. I don't that would be inappropriate. I don't know. Yeah, what would yours be?
Okay, I saw this thing like 15 years ago online that was like, oh yeah, we made a hover bike. It flies 100 feet in the air and it can go 200 miles an hour, and it's like a motorcycle with propellers. And guess what? We're selling them for $50,000. And I was like, that doesn't sound too unreasonable for something so cool. And I had it in my brain that when I became an adult, I was going to buy a hover bike. And they're obviously like not around. Like it was like a prototype that they were trying to get funding for, or probably it was like a scam and they were never going to use the money to develop it or whatever. But I think I would make a Zach Armour hover bike.
That'd be pretty. I mean, so okay, so this isn't. It doesn't have to be a real thing, right? You can just create anything.
No, I mean, Elon Musk sold a flamethrower on the open market, you know? I think I would just enable people to, and it'd be the same concept. It'd be like 2 mini helicopter blades, or 4, or whatever science says you need.
If I became an overnight sensation, I hate to say this, but I would scam my fans for some money. I'm like very confident. I would. I mean, it wouldn't be like a scam, but I would definitely be like on Cameo, like, sure, $100.
Oh, yeah.
$100. Yeah, I'll put out a message for you guys. Like, hell yeah. Not a scam, but I'd be monetizing that like crazy.
You'd like have a ghostwriter write your autobiography and then sell a bunch of signed copies.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, speaking of Cameo, Zach, didn't something pretty cool happen for my fantasy football league? Are we off of Spider-Man for the week? Are we on to just other things? It seems like.
I mean, we've got trivia, but I think
okay.
Anything goes right now.
Okay, pretty cool Cameo stuff happened for my fantasy league this week, huh, Zach?
You got Josh Cribbs.
Josh Cribbs, the GOAT. One of my buddies in the league, who's always like making plays. He got Josh Cribbs to do our like draft order, pick them out of a hat, and then like read off the names of the draft order and everything. And I have to say, if I ever got famous and did cameos, that is how I would do it. Because man, he did a great job. He did not like run through it quickly, or like say it with just like read a script that he had prepared. I mean, there was like attitude in it and everything, and he was like having fun. So I'm a big fan of Josh Cribbs. I need to find I don't know if you've ever used Pristine Auctions, but it's like my next thing I want to find is a Josh Cribbs autographed jersey that we can like pass around the league now. I think he's become the official athlete of our fantasy football league.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. John sent me the video. It was really cool. You got the sense that like you paid the money and you actually had his attention and his time of the day. He seemed pretty tickled that like this fantasy league wanted him to announce the
definitely
picks.
Yeah.
So if you guys were on the fence about having former Browns punt returner Josh Cribbs do a cameo for you,
three-time All-Pro, I believe I remember him saying.
go ahead and do it. That's money well spent.
Yep, definitely.
He's not going to skimp on it.
No. I got pick 13, by the way. Not great.
Dude, I can't believe you have a 14-person league.
Yep.
That's so deep.
It is. Trust me. By like the third round, it's slim pickings.
I bet. But I bet 13 is actually a pretty good place to draft because then you're actually getting like 2 second rounders in a normal league, right?
I mean, it's all luck, right? Like, who knows what will happen? You know, like last year, Justin Jefferson went number 1 overall or number 2 overall and didn't do anything. You know, Cooper Kupp went like number 5. And so it all is just like luck. But I'm okay with where I'm picking. I think Garrett Wilson back there at the end of the first could be a good pick. Or maybe like Jonathan Taylor seems like he could still be around there. I'll have to ask you for options. I'll have to ask you for your advice once we get closer. Yeah. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Do you have anything interesting for us?
I don't. I was going to recommend the new anime that we started watching, but then I realized you wouldn't care and wouldn't watch it. So,
but the listeners might.
All right. You convinced me. So it's called Freerun, The Journey's End. And it's basically the idea is like D&D characters after the campaign is over, or like, you know, the end of the Lord of the Rings when the mission is over and everyone goes home, and you kind of see what happens. Lord of the Rings.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I actually have kind of a fun fact about one of those movies. There's a scene in that movie where Aragorn or Aragog he kicks a helmet, Zach, and his toe actually breaks in it. It's kind of a fun fact. Not a lot of people know that. Yeah,
like the actor in real life.
Yep, and that's the take that they used.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is incredible.
That's a callback to the conversation we had before we got on the pod.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just like I haven't seen this type of story done before. You can tell like in the main character's life, we just missed what would be like the most important story, you know? And now we're watching her deal with the aftermath of it. And but you still kind of get bits of it in flashbacks, but it's like a fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons, Middle Earth kind of story. And it's just really good.
That does sound pretty good, actually.
It's calming. It's wholesome. Most episodes are just kind of like a slice of life. But then it means that the couple of times that they do like a big action scene, it hits like crack.
Dude, I just thought of something that, I mean, maybe we should even just do a bonus episode, but a pretty big movie comes out tomorrow. Tonight, actually, it's like out. Now I'm scrolling YouTube and I'm seeing like Deadpool and Wolverine, ending explained, Easter eggs, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I've done such a good job of not watching any trailers and not watching anything. So, you know, I'm pretty excited to go into this one. I'll probably go and see it tomorrow. Just, I don't know. Oh, you're off tomorrow, Zach. Maybe you should come to Indy.
I'll be in Milwaukee, man.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Sunday. We'll see if there's tickets Sunday.
Okay. Well, I'm probably going to go see it tomorrow, but
okay.
I'll go see it again with you, you know. But no matter what, you should make sure that you see it by the next time we record.
Yeah.
And maybe we could even put it out as a bonus episode, get some extra SEO in there, you know.
I think that'd be a good idea.
I think so too.
And honestly, I bet some of our episodes that are already out there that say Deadpool or Wolverine will start getting a couple clicks. Yeah,
so maybe we'll have to try to record that on like Monday or something. Like as soon as we see it, we can throw it out there, you know, really maximize those clicks. Yeah. Just hop on for like 30 minutes.
I'm so worried that like if I don't see it the first day, everything's going to get
spoiled. Yeah,
That's
that's like
just
why
how it is now.
That's like why I'm going and seeing it tomorrow. It's because, and that's why when the boys would come out, I would stay up till like 3 a.m. and watch the episode when it came out because I mean, I'm a millennial and I'm addicted to my phone just like everybody else is. But the first thing I do when I wake up is I like hop on YouTube and it's 8 a.m. The episode came out 4 hours ago and there's already like thumbnails that's like the boys, here's what, and it's like, dude, I don't want to see any of that at all. Even like scrolling past these Wolverine Deadpool things. I'm like, I don't even want to see them because they show too much, even in the thumbnail. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess this happened or that happened, right?
Yeah, it's
I'm the
ridiculous.
Same way. Yeah.
And it wasn't even this bad like when Endgame came out. Like think about how bad it's gotten just in recent years.
Definitely. And I mean trailers are the same way now. I know I've talked about before. They like put too much in trailers, so you can like know the whole movie before you even go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. What do you think?
I'm a little nervous. I mean, I'm kind of excited, but I just feel like it's going to be a lot of fan service and like the usual Ryan Reynolds humor. And I know they're going to do a lot of X-Men stuff, but I worry they're not going to do it well. But I mean, I'll probably still walk out and say it was fine. It was enjoyable.
I'll be clapping like a seal.
Yeah.
He said I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! That happened in that one movie!
I understood that reference.
Oh my god, they're in Ant-Man's head!
Fantastic. Oh my god, Sabretooth's here?
Oh, look, it's both Sabretooths right next to each other!
Who could have guessed?
Yep.
You ready for trivia?
I'm ready for trivia, and then I have a jam of the week. Unless you have one. We can have dueling ones.
We can we can see who's better. Ooh, we should start doing that. We should have people vote on the Instagram over like whose song sucked.
That's what the voting should be. It shouldn't be. That's like peak internet. You don't vote on which one's better. You vote on which one sucks.
Right. Someone has to be the mark. We have to crush someone's spirits.
Exactly.
Hate engagement is so much more palpable than like saying you like something.
That's true.
All right. In 1964.
Oh my gosh! Wait! Sorry, give me 1 sec while you're doing this trivia. I've got something. One other thing. Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Okay. What'd you get?
Well, I was flipping through my bookshelf the other day, and I found Super Bowl trivia.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh, well, maybe that'll be fun. Maybe I'll give Zach a question after he gives me a Spider-Man one, but we don't have to do that at all. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Let's go round for round.
Okay. Right. Which do you want to do Spider-Man first?
Yeah, I'll do Spider-Man. All right. In 1964, what group of supervillains joined together to defeat Spider-Man?
Would that be the Sinister Six?
Yes, and I'll give you a bonus point if you can name the 6 inaugural members.
Ooh, good question. Okay. Green Goblin.
Well, thanks for playing. Listeners, write in. Tell John how wrong he was.
Wow, that was pretty funny. Okay, who are they?
I literally always forget who the original members are. I always like mix up 1 or 2 that are in later lineups, but I always remember. Well, the Green Goblin wasn't one of them.
Okay, so is it Doc Ock?
Yes.
The Lizard?
No.
I'm way off. Electro? Or no, that's not who I... Oh, okay, I'll take it. That's not.
All right, he's in there.
Shocker?
No. Shocker didn't exist in 1964.
I don't know. I'm out. Venom?
Venom didn't exist in 1964.
Who are they?
Think of like the cheesy villains, because these
I
were
know.
cheesy villains back
I'm-
then. It was a less serious time, John.
The Spot. I know that's not one of them. I don't know. Tell me. I got the real
All right.
trivia question right.
We've got Doc Ock, Sandman, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio,
Craven, Mysterio.
the Vulture, and Electro.
Oh, yep. I've seen all of them in movies before. I should have known all of them.
Just as I suspected. I've seen those guys. All right, hit me with the Super Bowl trivia.
Okay, we're just gonna go one at a time. All right. This very first question of the book is going to be an easy one for you, Zach. I have a feeling some of these are going to be very difficult, but not this one. Super Bowl. What number is this? XLI.
41.
You might recognize that one already. Super Bowl 41 was the first to feature 2 African-American head coaches. Name them.
Lovie Smith and Tony Dungy.
Of course.
All right.
That's the one that the Colts won.
Yes, that's how everyone in the state of Indiana could get that question. It
Yep.
might have seemed impressive, but it wasn't. All right. Which was the first Spider-Man villain not created by Stan Lee?
The first Spider-Man villain not created by Stan Lee.
I'll give you a hint.
Stanley who?
Stanley Lieber.
Oh. Okay.
I'll give you a hint. You may have seen him in a movie.
I figured as much beforehand. Okay, I got to think here. The first one that was not created by Stan Lee, so it's probably not any of those that you just named. I am going to go with. I'm going to go with. I'll just keep saying that until something bursts into my brain. I want to get this right. I don't think I know this. I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm going to guess the Rhino.
It is Morbin time.
It was Morbius.
Morbius was the first Spider-Man villain not created by Stan Lee.
Wow.
Introduced in 1971 and created by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane.
I bet he would be so happy if he was still alive. Like
Morbius? He lives
no,
forever.
No, Stan Lee. Just like knowing that he didn't create Morbius.
All of his villains endured, and then the very next one got played by Jared Leto.
Okay. I don't want to read just all of these, Let's do this. When the Colts won their first Super Bowl 5, this is not just Colts Super Bowl, this is on the first page, it happened to be. Who became the first rookie head coach to claim victory in the game?
It wasn't Weeb Eubank, and it wasn't Don Shula. So who was it?
I'll give you a hint. I thought you were about to say the right person.
Who was the damn Colts coach in, 1971? Oh, dude, I'm a bad Colts fan, but it's fine because it's the Baltimore days. I don't know the answer.
I've never heard of this person. Don McCafferty.
Okay, I don't feel as bad. We had, 2 famous coaches in Baltimore, and he's neither of them, so I don't feel bad for not knowing that.
Okay, so we're both 1 out of 2 here.
Yep. All right. Who is considered to be Spider-Man's original nemesis?
Spider-Man's original nemesis. Dude, a lot of these questions feel subjective to me, Zach.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't like this question.
I mean, dude, he could have so many nemesis. I would say, I think it's the Green Goblin, but I'm pretty sure that's not his original nemesis. So who is it?
That's what they said it is.
It's Green Goblin?
They said Green Goblin, yeah.
Well, I think that's who it is. I mean, that's his big... It'd be like for Batman, you'd be like, okay, who's Batman's nemesis? Well, it's the Joker. And even if they say, like, who's Batman's original nemesis, I'm probably still going to say the Joker, even though he wasn't in there from the beginning, you know?
Yep, I agree.
Okay, last one, Zach. This is to keep up. What Steeler became the first wide receiver to throw a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl when he hit Hines Ward for a 43-yard score?
That would be former IU Hoosier quarterback turned receiver Antoine Randall L.
Yeah. That was just page 1, and there were 3 Indy questions in that.
Well, sort of.
3 Indiana.
2 Colts questions and an IU kind of question.
Indiana.
I see what you're saying, yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. Okay, you want the jam of the week?
Give it to me.
Have you ever heard of Free by Florence and the Machine?
I've heard of Florence and the Machine. I don't know that I've heard Free.
It's a pretty good one. It's a bop, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
And the music video is pretty good because you get Bill Nye is in it. Not Bill Nye the Science Guy, but Bill Nye the actor.
There's a Bill Nye actor?
Yes, there's Bill Nye the actor who he is Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean, who you might not recognize because he's got squids all over his face. But he's also in Love Actually. He's like, dude, I'm sure he's in one of the best Doctor Who episodes. He's like the art museum guy in the Vincent Van Gogh episode of Doctor Who. You'd recognize Bill Nye. You'd be like, oh yeah, it's Bill. His name might be Bill Nye. I don't know, but he's pretty good.
Cool.
And he's in that music video, and it's pretty good, and it's a good song with a good message.
Hell yeah, Free by Florence and the Machine.
Yep.
All right, and I've got one because I already had one.
And then the listeners are going to vote on which one sucks.
Yeah. So mine is Words Come Back by The Hated. And this is like an 80s band. It's the earliest example I could find of emo that sounds like emo, I guess, if that makes sense. Because in the 80s, emo was still an offshoot of hardcore. And this is like an 80s band that was playing late 90s emo. Like they were probably decades ahead of the curve on that sound. They're like the first people to bring indie rock into it.
Nice. Okay.
And they just reunited like last year, apparently.
Wow. What was the other band? What was the other premonition that you had? You've had a couple.
So it was Banner Pilot reuniting, and then Drop Dead Gorgeous reuniting.
Yep.
And then the Wonder Years coming to Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah, the Wonder Years. Okay. Wow. Well, we've done it again, Zach.
I mean, not really. I didn't bring this one about. I just found these guys recently and really enjoyed them.
I just meant finishing the episode.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
We've done it again, and I feel like this one didn't have that much Spider-Man in it. I don't know if you realize that, but those two issues went pretty quickly. Not that much happened in them, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe we should start going back to 3 issues.
Maybe. Maybe. And here's Omaha to send us out.
Hi, Omi.
Okay, you got anything else?
I don't.
Well, thank you to Ian Hickey for the music and Alyssa Seaman for the artwork. And thank you all for listening and leaving us a review or a comment and telling your friends about it. Zach, I'm going to include that into our sign-off from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell a bud. Maybe you've got a buddy who likes Spider-Man. Mention it, right?
Maybe you've got a friend who needs to know what the Better Business Bureau does. We can do that for him, too.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe you've got a coworker who's itching to get some Super Bowl trivia, and now we can do that also. So
maybe you were running out of terrible songs to listen to.
Yeah. So you can find us, the First Read Ultimate Spider-Man podcast, on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else you find podcasts. And you can come and chat with us and leave us a message on Instagram at First Read Podcast. Send us an email at firstreadspidey@gmail.com or find us on YouTube, First Read Ultimate Spider-Man Podcast. See you next week.
See ya.